Hey everyone! In this video I will show you all the parks that were handed in for stage 6 of the Timeline Park contest. Now you may be wondering why this video is so late. It's simple. It's because I totally forgot to make it. But I was reminded by some members on my Discord that this video was still due. So here it is. Anyway, let's start off with the first entry. The first entry is from AstroTurd. More and more citizens were traveling to the confluence, just as the king desired. It became clear, however, that the original settlement was no longer sufficient for the amount of travelers arriving in the confluence each day. The outdated buildings were an embarrassment to the king when the confluence was supposed to be a jewel of the kingdom. The situation would have to be remedied. Renovations began immediately. To start with, the old settlement was leveled completely. In its place, a group of stone buildings was erected. This would truly be a permanent outpost. The stable was also enlarged, and a gate was placed to welcome all newcomers. Keen to stake their claim, villagers established small residences on the outskirts. The origin of the area was not to be forgotten though. The old horse training ground was memorialized with an ornate carousel. The trebuchet ride was relocated and enhanced with decorations that gave guests a taste of a real siege. With these improvements, a higher class of traveler began to make their way to the confluence. With more cultured visitors came greater expectations. Expansion in the confluence must continue. Okay, the next entry is from Bags. Chapter 6, 1977, The Oil Crisis. Independence of Suriname, and a 40-year-old park. In 1972, Harry Lambeth retired as director and was succeeded by his daughter Charlotte as a new park director, and his son Fred became the new circus ringmaster. In honor of Harry's career, he got a statue on a horse in the middle of the park at New Lambeth Square. The park expanded with new shops and a restaurant, and the horse ride moved from its location. Soon after, the oil crisis of 1973 hit, and the economic crisis led to a car-free Sunday. The park faced another financial problem, as guests were not able to visit it, and all expansion plans from Charlotte and Fred had to be on hold. On top of that, the animal inspection from the Traumatorium Agency, a company with the aim to prevent animal traumas when they are living in an aquarium, terrarium and other enclosed surroundings, claimed that the circus animal enclosures were not up to current animal health care standards. The old circus trailers were remnant from the old times when the traveling circus was still touring throughout Europe, and soon they were replaced by larger cages and moved to a more quiet area in the park. The turning point of the crisis was initiated by a collaboration with an art gallery called Fitwell and Hubbard, who had flower power style sunglasses with photochromic glasses that gave another hue to the environment. All guests got them as a souvenir in the park to experience the park with this new color palette. Soon after, Charlotte got so excited that she gave the assignment to color all attractions in this new palette so people can do without the sunglasses. Later, the Dutch colony of Suriname became independent in 1975. This had led to a large migration of Suriname people who wanted to stay connected to the Kingdom of the Netherlands. As a result, the nearby village grew into a worthy city. The new city council decided to invest in the tourism infrastructure and made a deal with the Van Akelaken Museum and the Elysium Hippodrome to have a tram terminal and a car lane. The park received additional city financial support to extend the parking lot. In 1977, the park celebrated its 40-year anniversary, and as cream of the crop, a replacement entrance was built. The entrance had the shape of a huge cash wagon of the old circus to highlight the connection between attraction park and circus. Alright, then the next story is of my park. After adding the family horse ride, James Dirkling noticed that his park was getting more and more crowded. Especially the entrance area of the park was not sufficient anymore for the amount of visitors the park got. James decided to use the off-season to allow for a big upgrade of the park entrance and the parking lot, and also for some improvements on the path layout. In order to make space for the new park entrance, the corn maze has been removed from the park. It might get a new place in the park later. The dirt carts have gotten a slightly different layout, and the train station has been moved towards the entrance of the park. The new park entrance has several ticket counters and park gates, allowing for a large capacity of guests to flow through it. This might become necessary with the future expansions James has in mind. Alright, the next story is from Fidwell. Let me put some sad music on for this one. The worst has finally come to pass. As the years went by, Lil Slugger's meager income wasn't enough to keep up with Dynagas' lofty ambitions. Additionally, local authorities had been getting anxious about having two large theme parks in such close proximity. Finally, Dynagas headquarters came to the owners of Lil Sluggers with an ultimatum: either sell everything they had or shut down for good. Lil Sluggers had no real choice. With heavy hearts, they signed over their assets to the corporation. Fortunately, the merger has gone smoothly so far. The existing staff members were able to keep their jobs, and all of Lil Slugger's old rights remain intact. In fact, many buildings received a major upgrade for the grand reopening of the combined park. Is this gesture of goodwill from Dynagas indicative of a bright future, or does their greed truly know no bounds? And then the next story is from Herbert. The Morgan Hyper GTX coaster brought many enthusiasts to the small park, so Andung tried to capitalize on this new kind of customer. Traveling in from faraway lands, they needed places to sleep, so Andung ordered the construction of a small village to accommodate them. He also built a wooden pier, which would allow his cousin... I'm sorry, this name is really difficult. Trang, I completely butchered that, to transport guests to and from the nearby cities with his speedboat. Still not satisfied, Andung started two more projects. During the off-season, he rebuilt the entrance to the park. The go-kart and the small Ferris wheel started to look too provincial and out of place for the ever-growing park, so he sold both of them, bought a bigger Ferris wheel and constructed a big restaurant, an information booth and ticket counters. Also, he started to build a bridge towards the fields on the other side of the river to prepare for further expansion. When the bridge was finished, Doong Lua's transformation from small funfair to serious theme park would be well on its way. Okay, I'm hoping for a more easy to pronounce story this time. This is the park from Jean-Pierre. As the Asana park continues to grow, the owners got more and more complaints about the way that people need to take to get into the park. The biggest struggle for them was the one road that was the only way to get in and out. To prevent this problem, the park decided to open up the staff-only road. This meant that the stress on the traffic would decline. Also, some small changes would make the traffic flow better. Meanwhile, in the park, they had a tough month. Their first coaster was broken down and was meant to be repaired, but after a few days of trying the engine, which was needed to run, the lift exploded. Luckily, the park only worked at it in the night and nobody got injured. They thought the explosion wouldn't cause any trouble, but the explosion was so extreme that the nearby Eat Palace went down in flames. The coaster couldn't be repaired and was replaced by a new coaster from Victoria, which also made the old one. A new coaster type was more stable than the older. They also decided to make the coaster longer and build a new restaurant for the park. Also, the tram opened this month to test the first half of the little railway with people. Okay, then the next story is from RA during 1994. Following another impressive season, which saw the park nominated for a wide variety of awards, the creative team of the park were tasked with formulating a 5-year plan to turn Southmouth Pleasure Gardens from an up-and-coming theme park to a world-class resort-style park. A skyline-altering statement roller coaster at the front of the park is high on the agenda, and some impressively themed family attractions are also in the cards. But first, the park have had to deal with some other more pressing issues this year. The park's backers have had to undertake vital work to secure the cliffs to prevent future landslips. The cliffs are now reinforced with wooden walls, and the rocks at the bottom of the cliffs have been rearranged to reduce erosion. This has enabled the monorail to be rerouted closer to the cliff top. The park's owner has also realized that the park's east-facing entrance is ill-equipped to withstand the high number of guests projected over the next few years. A new entrance area has been created on the west side of the park, beside the park's new multi-story car park. Alongside appropriately wide paths to accommodate the ever-increasing number of park goers, a huge fountain and substantial Main Street area of the park have been built. A large restaurant, a souvenir shop, and necessary guest services fill out the street, whilst a new monorail station serves as the backdrop to the new area. Owing to the huge outlay on the multi-story car park and the Main Street, unfortunately, no new rides have been completed this season. Although construction sites dotted around the park would suggest more rides are coming soon. To tide guests over until the new rides are opened, the park have opted to build a small stage which hosts family-oriented shows during the daytime and performances from rock bands in the evening. It's not the huge roller coaster the guests have been dreaming of, but it will have to do for now. Okay, here's the park from Savvy Adam. This season, William Weatherby decided to just touch up the park some by adding some foliage and flower beds around the park. Also adding 4 new food stalls. It's So Fluffy cotton candy, 2 scoops please ice cream stand, Yo give me a slice pizza stand, and Ah Shucks seafood stall. This park has come a long way from its humble 3 rides along a pier. Alright, the next story is from Soap and Butter Sandwich. The eruption finally stopped and the lava stopped flowing. What's left of molten fury still stands there waiting to get repaired. In the meantime, the Wastelanders found the schematics for a chance toboggan. Unfortunately, they can't read, so they just guessed what it's meant to look like. They did go a bit crazy with the supports, cause they don't want it to fall down. They also dedicated some time towards adding some more buildings around the villages, so all the paths are finished, and they finally added buildings around the air hangar, along with a lot of graffiti. They are looking to expand with a big coaster next, maybe repairing the Woody or a new coaster, or maybe both. We'll have to wait till next time. Alright, Swag Titties is also back on track, so it's nice to see him back. Anyway, let's continue on with this story. The Wings and Things Fun Fair is back to 100% operation. The floods had forced Titterton to put the original Fun Fair attractions in storage. But the increased guest population and new partnership with Ollie Bolly made their renovation and refurbishment possible. The carousel now has a reinforced roof to weather any storm. The vintage cars have a slightly altered layout and a beautiful new queue featuring a fountain. Crestline Cruisers received a newly painted train, and to celebrate the new partnership with Ollie Bolly, Titterton wanted a new ride built and dedicated. Flying Aces is a family ride where you climb aboard a World War I fighter plane and perform air maneuvers. The park infrastructure has been improved as well. A new souvenir boutique shop has opened across the plaza from the original restaurant. It features a premium entrance to the park that allows parents with younger kids to go directly to the junior section of the park. Speaking of the entrance plaza, the gardens and paths have been revamped to bring focus to the spectacular entrance gates. A result of the reopening of many rides has led to parkgoers crossing the open field between the train station and Flying Aces. This may lead to liability issues because not all of the land is owned by Titterton and his partners. Now, Swag Titties also often allows the viewers to choose an event that will happen in the next stage. So in this round, viewers could choose between A. Ollie Bolly uses his position to purchase neighboring lots, which may limit the Fun Fair's expansion, or B. The nearby grocery outlet has their fifth E. coli outbreak in 2 months and must forfeit their land and be demolished. C. A guest trespasses on a neighboring field and drowns in a drainage pond. Titterton is liable and must pay damages. Or D. A staff member is killed in an unfortunate accident. Let's find out in the next episode what happens. Alright, the next entry is from Trumbavarium. The parking lot is finally constructed and people are still pouring into the park. One thing to notice is that the lake is restored at last, as the pH values are now at normal levels. The lime treatment boat will soon be shipped off and is soon no longer afloat in this lake. A minor revamp of the somewhat rushed construction of the Residue Zero Dike Ride was also made. A small selection of food stalls have been implemented too, since apparently people need food and beverages to survive. The song Dancing Queen can be heard echoing around the park, as the Swedish pop group ABBA is the first band to enter the stage. People are showing up to see them live, and there was a certain someone who paid for all the Golden Circle tickets, only to end up with it alone. Okay, and here's the final story from Zeklar. The Hilden Plains have grown into the most successful park of Meridian. With the latest additions of the Soul Reaver, Sledgehammer and the Dirt Track, the requests for visiting the park are bursting at the seams. Upgrades are really needed, so first things first, a new parking lot was needed. The next thing that was really needed was a restaurant in the park, so the guests could sit down and get all their food in one central spot. The big lounge and the top spin had to be removed in favor of the new building. With some other details, with the pathing and an upgraded merry-go-round, the park is ready for the next step. Alright, those were all the stories for Stage 6. I hope you enjoyed watching these parks, and see you all in Stage 7 of the Timeline Park contest. See you later.